Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey that, well, it really does transcend time. It takes us way beyond just a list of names and dates.
Absolutely.
We're going to trace a single family lineage back, way back through centuries. And it shows so vividly how personal stories, they aren't just footnotes. They're actually woven right into the grand sweep of history.
Deeply woven.
It's more than just a family tree. It feels like a living testament to migration, resilience, conflict, even astonishingly, royalty.
It's quite the story.
Our source material for this really extraordinary deep dive is this comprehensive genealogy report. Clearly, meticulously compiled, years of work went into this, and it's accompanied by a concise verification document, which confirms some of the most astounding connections. What's immediately captivating is the detail, the specific locations that ground the story, mostly in New Mexico, that vibrant, historically layered landscape. But as you'll quickly find out, those roots, they reach far, far beyond the American Southwest.
Continents and centuries away.
Yes.
So our mission for you today is really to unpack this incredible stack of sources. We'll be your guides, navigating through the generations, spotting those really crucial connections, and frankly, some surprising turns.
Definitely looking for those aha moments.
Right, those aha moments, the historical echoes, and what this whole deep dive reveals about how interconnected individual lives are with these huge historical events. We're talking connections from colonial New Mexico all the way across the Atlantic to European royalty.
Incredible.
And along the way, we'll touch on these diverse cultural threads, indigenous, Spanish, and more, all woven into this single family line. It's quite the ride.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's unpack this journey starting at the most recent point in your sources. We begin with Bonifacio Armando Domingo Chavez.
Okay.
And just a quick note for everyone listening on pronunciation, that's Bonifacio, with a soft C like an S, so Boni, F-A-H-C-O, and Chavez with a hard Che as in Charlie. Got it. Bonifacio was born June 16th, 1940, right there in New Mexico, anchoring us in the mid-20th century.
Right, a good starting point.
He's the son of Manuel de Atocha Chavez, born August 16th, 1900, in a town called Tomé, New Mexico, and that's pronounced Tomé.
Tomé, okay.
And his mother was Maria Luisa Gabaldon, born October 23, 1906, in Los Chavez, New Mexico.
Los Chavez, near Tomé and Belen, central New Mexico.
Exactly. And what's immediately striking, even here, are their life arcs, this migration pattern. Manuel, born in Tomé, lived until 1996, but he passed away in Los Angeles, California.
Ah, the move west.
Right. And Maria Luisa, born in Los Chavez, she passed away in 1982, also in Los Angeles. They got married back on November 8, 1923, in Belen, New Mexico, pronounced Belen.
Belen, right.
So right off the bat, we see this big move from these deep historical roots in New Mexico out to California within just this immediate family. It feels like a snapshot of a bigger trend, doesn't it?
It absolutely is, and it's significant. Even this recent generation tells us a lot. Tomé, Belen, Los Chavez, these aren't just dots on a map. They are deeply historical communities. Their names appearing here screams lineage, roots planted generations ago in New Mexico.
Right.
And that move to L.A. Classic 20th century migration. So many families from the Southwest, especially rural areas, moved to big cities like Los Angeles looking for work, opportunities.
Especially after the Depression and during the war booms, I imagine.
Precisely. The Dust Bowl pushed people. WWII Defense Industries pulled them. It reshaped America. And Manuel de Atocha Chavez living until 96. That provides a really tangible link, a modern anchor for this deep dive. These aren't just names in old books.
Yeah, he saw incredible changes in his lifetime.
From horse-drawn wagons, probably, right up to the cusp of the internet age, connects us directly to their world.
That's a great point. And digging a bit deeper into Bonifacio Armando Domingo Chavez's immediate family, his parents, Manuel and Maria, had 10 children total.
Wow, 10.
Yeah, but as was sadly common back then, not all survived to adulthood. The sources mentioned briefly, but it's poignant, the losses. Oscar Chavez, born and died in 1924. Martha Chavez, born and died in 1941. George Chavez, born and died in 1933 in Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Heartbreaking. It really underscores the fragility of life then, before modern medicine was widespread.
Exactly. It paints such a vivid picture of that reality. But let's look at the children with more detailed stories. They give us glimpses into changing times, personal sacrifices. There's Benina Griselda Chavez, born 1925 in Los Chavez, died 1983 in El Monte, California.
Okay.
Her life reflects changing norms. She had 3 marriages. And her first husband, Justo Chavez, born 1924 in Los Lentes, New Mexico, his story is really compelling. It brings the record to life.
Oh, what's his story?
Well, you tell us. The sources have some amazing detail on him.
They really do. Hugo Chavez's story is incredibly powerful. It gives you a window into that whole WWII generation. The report details his baptism, San Augustine Catholic Church in Bernalillo, New Mexico, August 31st, 1924. Standard stuff.
Right.
But here's the kicker. He served in the European theater during WWII, wounded in action in France, 1945. Pretty heroic. But the truly fascinating part, the sources explicitly say he lied about his age to join the army.
No kidding. How old was he really?
He said he was born in 1922, but he was actually born in 1924, so he would have been maybe 17 or barely 18 when he enlisted, legally too young by the standards then, but he wanted to serve.
Wow. That took guts.
Immense determination, and it was common. So many young men did that, desperate to get into the fight. The consequence, his headstone at Fort Bliss actually has the wrong birth year, 1922.
That's incredible. A permanent record of his determination.
Exactly. It's not just a genealogical correction. It's a profound human story. Patriotism, sacrifice, what individuals did to be part of these huge events. It really humanizes the war.
Absolutely. Very moving detail. And that thread of military service, it continues, doesn't it?
With
Juan Eduardo Chavez.
It does. Juan Eduardo, born 1935 in Los Lunas, died 1996 in Hemet, California. The sources verified his service in the U.S. Army during the Korean War.
Another major conflict.
Right. And he's buried at Santa Fe National Cemetery. So you see this continuity. WWII, Korea, this family really contributed generation after generation.
It's quite a legacy of service. The other siblings listed are Emma Juanita Chavez, Lucia Bartolita Chavez, Manuel Edminio Lincoln Chavez, and Lorenzo Miguel Chavez, all born in New Mexico, mostly Los Chavez or Los Lunas.
Cementing those New Mexico roots before some, like Manuel and Maria Luisa, headed west.
So looking at this first layer, what really jumps out isn't just the geography, the move from New Mexico to California. It's these intense personal stories. Sacrifice, courage, adapting to war, changing social norms.
It makes them feel real, not just names on a page. You can almost picture them living through it all. The detail in these early records is fantastic. Baptisms, military files, that anecdote about Justo. It's rich.
It really is. Okay, let's take a big step back now, another generation, to the paternal grandparents of Bonifacio Armando Domingo Chavez. That's Bonifacio Chavez again. Soft head, Bonet, F-A-H-C-O, Hard-shoe Chavez, and his wife, Candida Castillo.
Okay, back another generation.
Bonifacio Chavez was born June 5, 1866 in Tomé, died in 1932 in Los Lunas. And the report notes he was baptized on the very day he was born back in Berlin.
Wow, day of birth. That really speaks to the strong Catholic presence, the importance of those rites immediately. Life was precarious. You didn't wait.
Exactly. His wife, Candida Castillo, was born October 2, 1881 in Los Chavez. And she passed away much later, 1956, out in Los Angeles, buried at Calvary Catholic Cemetery there.
Ah, so she followed the path west later in life too, like her son.
Seems so. They married August 21st, 1897, in Nuestra Senora, Belen, New Mexico. So in those same core towns, Tomé, Los Chavez, Belen, deep roots.
Right. But this is where it gets, well, profoundly interesting. The sources reveal something critical about this Bonifacio Chavez.
Oh.
Yes. The report explicitly notes, and this is a direct quote basically, that Bonifacio Chavez is the natural child of Francisca, the Indian servant of Bartolo Chavez, and his wife, Maria Antonia.
Wait, say that again, the Indian servant?
Yes. And furthermore, census records from the time list Bonifacio Chavez's race specifically as Indian. This is huge, a genuine aha moment.
Absolutely. What does that mean in context?
It means there's unequivocal indigenous ancestry woven right into this prominent Hispano family line in the Rio Abajo region. And this lines up perfectly with historical scholarship on Belen and that area. Historians document the presence of Genízaro and indigenous servant presences in those exact parishes.
Genízaro, what does that term mean exactly?
Genízaros were indigenous people, often Plains Apache, Navajo Ute, who'd been detached from their tribes, sometimes captured in raids, sometimes traded, sometimes refugees. They were often integrated into Spanish households, frequently through servitude, sometimes baptism, sometimes ransom. Their children, like Bonifacio, might be raised within the Spanish family structure.
So it's a really complex social situation.
Extremely complex. It reflects the power dynamics, the cultural mixing, the survival strategies of that time in colonial and post-colonial New Mexico. It wasn't simple adoption. It was deeply tied to the social fabric, servitude, and the creation of a mixed-race population. This detail isn't just genealogy. It's a window into the reality of that era. It challenges simpler narratives of ancestry.
That's incredibly powerful. It adds such a significant layer to the family identity.
It really does. It's a tangible link to the diverse, often difficult origins that form the foundation. The lines were much blurrier than we sometimes imagine.
Yeah, that changes the picture considerably. And thinking about the realities of life then, there are other poignant details about Manuel de Atocha Chavez's siblings too, right? Bonifacio and Candida's other children.
Yes, there's a mention of Emma Chavez, born 1910 in Las Chaves. Sadly, she died very young, 1911, in Tomé. The report notes she was run over by a wagon.
Oh my goodness. Just a sudden tragedy like that.
Exactly. These small details, they're heartbreaking, but they remind us of the dangers of daily life back then. Things we barely think about now could be fatal.
It certainly grounds the history. Now, let's shift to the maternal side. Maria Luisa Gabaldon's parents.
Okay, Bonifacio Armando Domingo's maternal grandparents.
Right. Bartolo Gabaldon, born August 7th, 1881 in Los Chaves. He died in 1956 in Belen. And Maria Benigna Gabaldon, born February 5, 1889, also in Los Chaves. She died quite young, 1911, in Los Chaves.
Same year as little Emma Chavez, the wagon accident. A tough year.
Seems so. They married in 1905 in Belen. And again, look at the locations. Los Chaves, Belen, Tomé. Over and over. It just hammers home how deeply rooted both the Chavez and Gabaldon lines were in this specific slice of New Mexico.
Absolutely. They weren't just passing through. These families were these communities. And that ties into another point about the sources.
The reliability.
Exactly. The report explicitly footnotes parish book pages and compiled volumes for Tomé and Belen. It cites standard authorities used by New Mexico researchers. This isn't guesswork. It's based on primary source documents, baptisms, marriages, burials, meticulously kept by the church.
Which are often the best, or only, records for that period.
Often, yes. Especially predating extensive government records. So the detail here suggests you descend from families whose lives were formally recorded. They were part of the documented history of New Mexico, which gives this whole lineage a really strong, verifiable foundation. Not everyone has access to that kind of paper trail.
That's a really important point about the quality of the research here. Now, as we go even deeper, the lines start intersecting with some really significant historical figures in New Mexico.
Yeah.
People who literally shaped the territory.
Yes, this is where the connections get even broader.
Let's talk about Bartolomé Secundino Chavez. That's Barto L.O.H. Chavez, born 1834 in Belen. And his partner, Francisca Kika Valdez Chiwiwi Chavez, born around 1847 in Tomé.
Right. And here we see that theme again, reinforcing the earlier point about Bonifacio. The sources specify that Francisca was an Indian servant to Bartolo and Antonia.
Bartolo being Bartolomé Secundino Chavez.
Presumably Bartolo Chavez, the head of the household mentioned earlier in relation to Bonifacio's mother, Francisca. This Francisca Kika Valdez Chiwiwi Chavez, had two children with Bartolomé Secundino Chavez, and his wife, Maria Antonia, raised those children as her own.
Wow. So it wasn't just one instance. This was part of the family dynamic.
It seems to have been a recurring pattern, reflecting those complex social structures. Indigenous integration, blurred lines of family. It's a powerful, often hidden aspect of New Mexico's history. This mestizaje, this vixing, is fundamental to the region's identity.
Absolutely fascinating. But the even bigger connection, the one that ties the family directly to the political history, comes from Bartolomé Montano Baca, right?
Ah, yes, Governor Baca. This is a major figure.
Bartolomé Montano Baca, that's Mon-Th no Baca, born 1767 in Belen, died 1834 in Tomé. And the sources identify him as the governor of New Mexico between 1823 and 1825.
Correct. And this is confirmed independently by the New Mexico State Record Center, not just family lore.
Just imagine that. A direct ancestor holding the highest office in the territory during that pivotal transition period from Spanish to Mexican rule.
And Governor Baca wasn't just a politician sitting behind a desk. He was a true frontier leader, multifaceted, known for his military skill. He was a captain, noted for bravery in war, taking prisoners, engaging enemies in personal combat.
Really? Where is that recorded?
It's mentioned in the Pinot Exposition, a report sent to the Spanish Cortes the Parliament back in 1812. Pedro Bautista Pino wrote it, describing New Mexico's situation. So Baca's military reputation was known even then. He was actively defending the frontier.
A man of action.
Definitely. And a major landholder. He petitioned for huge tracts of land east of the Manzano Mountains, and he thought strategically about defense. He built a 2-story torreon, a fortified tower.
Like a mini fort.
Exactly, manned by his sons and their families. It shows the constant need for defense against raids. He also protected nearby towns like Manzano and was key in repopulating abandoned towns like Tariq and Chalili, which had been lost to Apache raids after the 1680 Pueblo Revolt.
Yeah. So he was actively expanding and securing the settled areas.
Yes, pushing the frontier eastward. His own ranch at Estancia grew into a town itself. He was a community builder.
And economically powerful.
Immensely. At his peak, the sources say he had some 300 servants. That's staggering for that time and place. Signifies huge wealth and influence, almost a feudal lord in scope.
Wow.
But he was also civic-minded, served as alcalde, kind of like a mayor and judge for both Tomé and Belen. And remarkably, he petitioned for public schools in 1825, thinking about education even then.
That is progressive for the time.
It really is. But his legacy also shows the complexities of land issues. Despite the huge grant, maybe 650,000 acres, his heirs eventually lost most of it in court. Settled for a fraction.
Why? Legal challenges.
Often unclear titles, shifting laws under Mexican and then U.S. rule. Land grants became battlegrounds. It happened to many prominent families. Shows how unstable things could be.
What an incredible ancestor. A real force. And the political connections don't stop there. There's another governor.
Yes, linked through marriage. Francisco Xavier Chavez. He was governor of New Mexico briefly in 1822. He was married to Ana Maria Alvarez del Castillo, who is in your direct line.
So connected to 2 governors from that era, this family was really at the center of power.
Deeply entrenched. And you see this pattern in the names appearing constantly in the Tomé and Belen parish records from the late 1700s on. Chavez, Baca, Luna, Gabaldon, Vallejos, Silva, Padilla, Aragon, Arcia.
It sounds like a who's who of colonial New Mexico.
It really is. A cohesive, influential network. These families intermarried, consolidated land and power, built and defended these communities. They were colonial New Mexico in many ways.
And this network goes way back.
Oh, yes. Consider Manuel Baca, born 1656 in Santa Fe. There's this amazing description of him from 1681. Married, good, thick-set build, ruddy face, thick beard, and wavy hair.
Brings him right to life.
Yeah.
1656.
Doesn't it? He lived through the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, was expelled with the Spanish, and then returned in the Reconquest in 1693 with his wife and kids.
A direct participant in that huge historical event.
Absolutely, and the sources show the hardship. In 1684, his family was described as extremely poor without anything. But by 1697, as part of the resettlement effort, they received land, cloth, livestock, sheep, goats, cows, bulls. It shows the cycle of devastation and opportunity, the resilience needed to survive on that frontier.
Incredible story of survival and rebuilding.
And one more quick example of that cultural mixing we talked about. The adoption in 1826 of Maria Rosalia de Jesus Silva, explicitly noted as Navajo by Buenaventura Silva.
Another instance of indigenous integration.
Exactly. Whether through servitude, capture, or other means, it was part of the reality, contributing to that unique New Mexican identity.
Okay, this is already amazing, but the deep dive takes an even more extraordinary turn now, right? We're heading across the Atlantic.
We are. Fasten your seatbelts. We're connecting directly to figures who didn't just shape a territory, they shaped global history. We're going back to the 15th and 16th centuries.
Wow. Okay, who first?
Let's talk about Francisco Vázquez Lujan de Coronado. Pronounced Vázquez Lujan Coronado.
Coronado. The explorer.
The very same. Born in Salamanca, Spain, 1510. Entered Mexico City, 1535. Young guy, 25. Rose quickly. By 1538, he's governor of New Galicia, that's northwest Mexico.
Okay.
But his most famous act, the one everyone knows, is leading that huge expedition, 1540 to 1542, into what's now the American Southwest. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas.
Looking for the 7 cities of Cibola. Gold.
That was the dream, the mission. It was brutal, arduous, hostile terrain conflicts. He returned with fewer than 100 of the original 300 Spaniards, found no gold cities.
So, A failure in that sense.
In terms of gold, yes.
Yeah.
But historically, hugely significant. First major European exploration of the Southwest. Provided invaluable geographic knowledge to Spain, initiated contact, often violent, with numerous indigenous groups like the Pueblos.
And he was rewarded.
Yes, despite not finding gold, he received an encomienda for his service.
Right.
That's a grant giving him control over indigenous populations, demanding labor or tribute. A standard, though exploitative, part of the early colonial system.
Right.
He continued as governor of Nueva Galicia. He and his wife are buried in Mexico City. And your family line extends directly from him. A direct link to the earliest European footprints in the American Southwest.
That is foundational. A direct link to Coronado. But it doesn't stop there, does it? There's something even more mind-blowing.
Oh, yes. Prepare for perhaps the biggest aha moment of this whole thing. Your genealogy traces back to Alonso de Estrada. That's Alonso Estrada, born around 1470, Ciudad Real, Castile, Spain.
Okay. Alonso de Estrada. And the connection is...
Here it is. Alonso de Estrada was the illegitimate son of King Ferdinand II of Aragon.
Wait. King Ferdinand, as in Ferdinand and Isabella? The Catholic monarchs? Columbus's funders? That Ferdinand?
That exact Ferdinand, one of the most powerful rulers in European history who reshaped Spain and launched the Age of Exploration. Alonso was his son.
I'm speechless. An illegitimate son of King Ferdinand II.
Raised in the royal court, no less, acknowledged. He became a prominent figure himself, served as regidor chief magistrate of Ciudad Real, but then his nephew, King Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, Ferdinand's grandson. In 1523, Charles V sent his uncle Alonso to Mexico to oversee affairs in the New World.
What did he do there?
He served as governor and royal treasurer of New Spain. Immense power, managing the wealth pouring in from the Americas for the Spanish crown.
So direct royal blood governing the Spanish Empire in America.
Exactly. Tied directly to European royalty and that pivotal moment of global conquest. And get this, Alonso de Estrada was also the half-brother of Catherine of Aragon.
Catherine of Aragon.
Yeah.
Henry VIII's first wife.
The very same. So your family history connects right into the heart of the English Tudor drama, the Reformation. It's staggering. Kings, queens, explorers, empire builders.
This is unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. And the royal line goes back even further.
It does. Through Alonso and therefore Ferdinand II, your line traces back through successive kings of Castile and Aragon. It's documented generation by generation. Well, obviously Ferdinand II himself. Then his father, Juan II, King of Aragon. His father, Ferdinand II of Aragon. His father, Juan II of Castile. His father, Henry II of Trastamara, King of Castile. Then Alfonso XI of Castile and Leon. Ferdinand I, King of Castile and Leon, all the way back to Sancho V, King of Castile and Leon, born in 1258.
1258, we're back in the 13th century.
An incredible documented lineage spanning centuries of European royalty. It's truly remarkable the depth of this research.
My mind is officially blown. Is there anything else? Could there possibly be more?
Believe it or not, one more truly astounding connection. Your lineage also includes Cristobal Colon.
Colon, as in Colo, Christopher Columbus.
The man himself, born 1451, Genoa, died 1506. The figure who, for better or worse, fundamentally changed the world map, linking the old world and the new.
How is that connection made?
The sources show the link comes through his son, Diego Colon. So a direct documented line to Christopher Columbus, added to Coronado, added to the kings of Spain. It's almost hard to process.
It really is. Just, wow. What an absolutely extraordinary journey we've taken through this family history.
It's been quite something, hasn't it?
Starting with Bonifacio Armando Domingo Chavez in 20th century New Mexico, part of modern American life, serving in wars, then traveling back through those arid foundational landscapes of colonial New Mexico.
Uncovering that complex tapestry of indigenous and Spanish relations, meeting figures like Governor Baca, the military leaders, the community builders.
Seeing how deeply connected those families were to the governance and shaping of the territory.
And then crossing the ocean, crossing centuries, encountering conquistadors like Coronado who literally put the Southwest on European maps.
And finally uncovering these direct, frankly astonishing links to European royalty. Kings of Castile and Aragon stretching back to the 1200s, and even Christopher Columbus.
It shows that your personal story, this single-family line, isn't just one thread. It's this incredibly rich, complex tapestry, woven from diverse cultures, huge historical events, figures who shaped nations and continents.
It's such a powerful testament, isn't it, that every family tree, if you dig deep enough, and if the records exist like they do here, holds echoes of the grand human story.
Absolutely. It's a remarkable heritage. You're not just descended from ancestors. You're descended from history itself in a very direct way.
So the question we leave you with, a provocative thought, what does it really mean to know that your own roots run this deep? Through these incredible layers, indigenous New Mexico, Spanish colonial power, European palaces, legendary explorers,
How might understanding these diverse, powerful, sometimes conflicting threads within your own ancestry change how you see your place in the world today?
and maybe how you imagine the future, something to definitely mull over.